Hello from Bangkok. This is the podcast Pigeon of Peace, where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about immunity, and let's start with the definition.
Immunity is very important in our life, and it started several centuries ago. People were not allowed to enter at any time your house or your business to search for something. It was a very funny story. One person was searched, and some people who work for government find some brochures about how to struck governmental bodies and so on. And it was a huge court, and was a question: is it okay when you search suddenly property of someone to say that was governmental necessity and what was found could be used in criminal case? And suddenly court, after several reviews, decided that this was not allowed. So it was very hard decision. From one point, it was the enemy of the state, but from other point, if you will allow to everyone to enter your house or your estate at any time, you will not be safe. So immunity became a supreme privilege.
And when we speak about immunity, obviously it might be, like used in a different areas towards different objects. So what types in general of the immunity exist in the modern world?
In general, we'll talk about immunity of private life. No one is allowed to search your car without warrant. No one could search your pocket without subpoena. And if someone will try to do so, you have a right to be protected by police and any kind of enforcement. You are allowed to hire your own guards, your own security. You're allowed to put on the walls your CCTV camera. You're allowed to use armored car and so on.
And when we're actually trying to, like maybe gain our immunity, well, one thing is might be something that we get by the book, by the law, and like we know this is our right. But I do believe there's also might be certain states, maybe like government body could entitle us to be allowed to do certain things. So if we go to this maybe more slightly extended or expanded level of immunity, what kind of matters we might found there?
Sometimes you will be asked to refuse from your immunity. For example, you're working as a judge, or I don't know how to say следователь,
Investigator.
or investigator, or you're working as an intendant, or maybe you work as someone who work with dangerous chemicals. In this case, you will be asked to sign special paper that I am Maxim Golub is refusing to some of my rights. I understand the importance of my job for the government, so I allow to check my belongings and my, I don't know how to say, wardrobe, шкафчик в работе,
Wardrobe or shelf.
Wardrobe and shelf at any time. And also sometime when you work in some organization, you also would be under supervision. So each 10 or 5 minutes, your screen will be copied to some protected directory, and maybe some of your letter would be reviewed, or maybe you will even work with censura. For example, yesterday I was reading a very interesting book. I mark it as a level 4 on my Knigopedia, and it was about Orenburg's polygon Totsk, where in 1954 year, it was rehearsal of atomic bombing, of nuke bombing. And it was like 40 kilotons nuke, which was thrown down, and a lot of people were dying, like 45,000 people were damaged by the atomic consequences. So these documents even right now are classified and no one could see it, but after several years, maybe 50, maybe 75, it would be declassified, and some people have immunity. For example, maybe they were making some wrong decision, but only and after only all of them will be died just then it would be declassified. The same story. I was working together with a very famous astronaut. His name was Leonov, and he was also known as a partner of Gagarin for some trainings for speed fighter wars. And he also was telling us, while he was telling his memories, that all what left after accident with Gagarin's plane were put in special, I don't know how to say, бочки, cans,
Maybe barrels or capsules.
in barrels, and it was запаянные, it was tinned,
Tinned.
and
Is better.
or sealed, yes, thank you, and it will be opened just after all people who was involved will be dead.
Well, I do believe it's like a next level of immunity when you're actually trying to, like knowing that someone might be guilty or whatever, you're just trying to go ahead and protect them. And when we speak about, you also mentioned this, like nuclear war and, like a preventive response and stuff, because sometimes I do believe the perimeter might be broken. So what kind of rights, maybe on the different territories or under different jurisdictions, people or organizations may have when someone actually violates their immunity? How can actually act to provide a proper response?
It was a very funny 5 years. I was holding a diplomatic passport of one country, and it was like a dream. I was going through the border like a knife, like a hot knife from in the butter. I was just showing this passport, and everyone was saluting me, and no one was asking what I'm carrying. And it was I was so proud to hold it. But I also was instructed by Ministry of Foreign Affairs how to talk with some people, especially in Asia, especially in Africa, especially in some other hot regions where war operations were conducted at this time, how to talk with people if they will try to hold me or to search me. And I was forced to learn or maybe to touch or memorize some convention about diplomatical ways how to trespass the border with legs on plane, by car, and so on. But no one was trying to stop me. But after I was holding just usual passport, it is immediately was a reason for my search. Oh, now you have just a usual passport. Maybe you was, I don't know how to say, downgraded. And some people in Germany, in some countries like Angola, like Chad, and some other, Senegal and Somalia also, I was searched, and everyone was laughing from me, and they even were put me to some special room and were searched without any clothes and so on. And at this point, I was so sorry that I have no diplomatic passport no more. I was also several times in a car from Belarus to Poland, from Belarus to Austria and some other countries, and we also were with people with diplomatic passport, and everyone who сопровождать.
Convoy, or maybe like a passing through.
All people who are going with the car with passing through with a diplomatical person also couldn't free of search, and also it was very convenient. But several times I was also put in prison or in jail, especially in Thailand, especially in Bulgaria, especially in some other countries, because it was suspicious that I was could be messed up. Похож на similar to
Look alike.
I was looking alike for somebody, and then I was searched, especially for tattoos. And lucky me, I have no tattoos, so I was immediately freed. But to be in jail or in cell for like 10, 12 hours, it's not a honey.
Well, I do believe it's not really pleasant experience. And sometimes we also might be looking in someone else's community. And let's say, I do believe that one of the skills called hacking, we also may try to, like maybe think how we can bypass it. Again, like for legal and constructive purposes. But sometimes, how do we act when we do need to trespass something that we might not be really trespassable?
Sometimes happen. Maybe you want to enter air base, or maybe seaport, or maybe some security area in airport, and sometimes you have no right for this, but maybe you have a need. I was several times in airports and some other buildings while it was a strike of some workers, and no one was allowed to enter or to go out of the building or some area. In these cases, as I was imitating that I am a doctor or some other kind of people who are in a hurry, and sometimes I was forced to run from airport to the city like for 50 or 55 kilometers. And at this point, I was always lucky that I am a runner, and to make a marathon, it's quite usual. You know, sometimes happen. You will enter to airport and you have meeting like in 10 hours or 12, and you was dreaming to lay down and to sleep a bit, and then you will know that in France or in England there is no chance to go by bus or by taxi to the city because no one is working.
Well, I do believe this is always good time for plan B when you're actually ready for all of these things. And even speaking about trespassing, it also reminds me a little case when I was living in Singapore. I also was like doing it for fun because sometimes when you visit your friends or whatever, security would ask like, where are you from? So I noticed like if you, for example, will try to pretend as you're a local, so would wear like a flip flops and maybe even flashing the keys as if you are ready to open something. Usually they would just like close their eyes. Again, like a little trick to pass like a security immunity. Then my last question will be how knowing about immunity could help make this world a better place.
When you trespass on some points or some borders, you will be searched at any time, not because you have no immunity, but because of habits of the locals. For example, if you will go from Egypt to Petra, no one will search you. But for example, if you fly from Israel to Saudi Arabia, even 5 years ago, it was completely searchable corridor. And for example, if you will go in Cyprus from Greek side to Turkish or backwise, you also would be searched. So in this case, it is better to have several passports. By the way, right now, one of our pupil of School of Troubleshooter was in a journey maybe for 4 days because at some points he was asked to show his belongings, and he has decision not to trespass this border and be back and choose another road because he do not want to show something in the backpack.
And we review the skill of immunity and how it could be helpful for you. Stay in peace.